When talking about surviving a zombie apocalypse, who you're surviving with is just as important as where you're surviving. A location you pick can make things easier for you or immensely more difficult. We've talked about many places, but a common suggestion that gets thrown out there is if police stations would be a good place to survive during a zombie apocalypse. And off the top of my head, it sounds like a pretty solid idea. You got guns, security, and radio communications. But what I want to do is find the pros and the cons of surviving in a police station and see if it's a good idea or if it's a big mistake. This is Zombie Survival Labs. Police stations. You either go there to get someone in trouble, snitch, or you end up there because you just got in trouble. It's a fair assumption to say that nobody in reality ever really wants to go to a police station, unless there's some kind of apocalyptic level event like a zombie apocalypse or something realistic like the solar grid shutting down. But what I want to figure out is if a police station would be a viable option to survive in during a zombie apocalypse. And also a big thank you for everyone over at my Discord for helping me out on this. Before we get into the pros and cons, we need to set some ground rules to make sure we are all on the same page. For zombies, I'm referring to the Walking Dead type, so no super mutant wall climbing types of zombies. And for police stations, I'm referring to your standalone police stations, not ones that double as a city jail or a municipal court. Taking police stations like those into account gives too much variation to form an actual answer, and I can make separate videos on courts and jailhouses in a separate video. So now that we got that out of the way, what are the pros to surviving in a police station during a zombie apocalypse? The first pro is that police stations have guns, and a lot of them. Police stations used to not be mentioned a whole lot. That is until The Walking Dead came along and season 1 started off with Rick taking guns from the police station and heading to his family. And now it seems like there's a large number of people that want to go to a police station because of it. Between the armory, firearms and patrol vehicles, and the evidence locker, you have a lot of guns at your disposal. When zombies are trying to eat you and people are trying to take what you have, having a mini arsenal at your disposal will set your group up nicely as it allows you to protect yourself early on. But how much space are you going to have to cover and how much space do you have at your disposal in a police station? In previous videos where I talked about schools, malls, and prisons, I stated that having too much space to cover can hinder your chances at survival. And by the way, links are in the description if you haven't watched those yet. So how much space do you have with your average police station? According to an online poll that I made, a majority of you rather stick to a group size of just a few people. And with a police station being on average 6,000 to 12,000 square feet, a small group of about 8 people can definitely make that work. This space that you have won't be too large that it makes it impossible to defend, but it also won't be too small that it makes long-term survival an improbability. You'll be able to use the offices as makeshift bedrooms, the break room as a dining room, and the armory as an armory. But there's no point in making future floor plans if you can't keep the place secured. Luckily for you, police stations have a minor level of security. Just like in prisons, police stations don't want people wandering around in places that they're not supposed to be in. And this is why certain areas of a police station will have key card readers at the doors. But aside from beefy doors, police stations also only have about 4 entrances that you can use. One for intake, one for civilians, one for workers, and an emergency exit. This will make it more difficult for others to sneak into the building. And if by chance you is in need of making a quick getaway, like if you're overrun, you still have other options available to get out. There's a lot of side benefits to wanting to settle down at a police station that you collectively can't find somewhere else. Like radio communication equipment, an evidence locker that will most likely have confiscated prescriptions, spike strips, emergency medical gear, and police vehicles with bullet-resistant doors. All of these are highly valuable and will be of great use to you during an apocalyptic situation. And having them in one spot is a big advantage. None of these mean anything though if a police station can't provide proper shelter, which it does. I say this pro a lot, mostly because we haven't talked about places that don't provide shelter. But having a place that shelters you from the elements is just as important as food and water is to you. You need a place that you can lay your head down at that'll keep you dry and warm. And not only is that beneficial to your physical health, but also your mental health. And so far, a police station looks like it has some pretty good pros. Some other honorary mentions that you guys left on my Discord are things like helicopters. While a helicopter is good to have, most police stations don't have helicopters or even a helipad. And then you also gotta have someone that knows how to operate a helicopter. But I'll make a video on helicopters in of itself in a later video. And then there were some others like military presence, police officers, generators, and so on. But I either wasn't able to justify some of these as pros, they fit into already existing categories like fortification would fit into security, or they were cons more than they were pros. I pretty much think that does it for the pros, so if you think I missed something, let me know in the comment section down below. We're going to get into the cons in a second, but before we do, I just want to let you guys know that I'm live streaming on Twitch right now, so down below is the link. Now let's talk about some cons. What are the cons for surviving in a police station during a zombie apocalypse? Kind of like how I said in my malls video, police stations are in the most densely populated areas of town, or they're in the center of the city. This poses a lot of threats because a lot of people means a lot of problems, and a lot of problems means a lot of zombies. Because of your average police station's locations in the middle of a city or town, this is also going to make other things more difficult, like fortifying the outside of a police station and going on scavenging runs. If you're met with a couple of dozen zombies every time you walk a couple blocks from the police station, that's going to be making a bigger issue for you. A police station is also a hotspot. Hotspots are places the common public are aware of and might seek out during an apocalyptic situation. So places like hospitals, schools, or stores. People are going to look for the safety and protection from police. And in the beginning, we'll be looking to the police station or military outpost for that exact same reason. But if they aren't going there for protection, then they're going there to scavenge a place for the same reason that you went there, to protect themselves and get what they need. Meaning that dealing with looters is going to be a common issue you're going to be running into. Being a hotspot and at the center of populated areas is already bad enough. But then being able to be found by just the insert name of city, police station, makes it much worse. Pharmacies are going to be a hotspot, but with there being a bunch of pharmacies on a block and having a bunch of different names, it's hard to find exactly which one someone's talking about. But when there's only one in a city, it makes things a little bit more difficult. So for a quick summary, get a place that's going to be commonly sought out in the middle of densely populated areas and having constant run-ins with zombies and looters. That's extremely easy for others to find. I believe that's all the information that we need right now. So now that we have the pros and the cons, just how good is a police station during a zombie apocalypse? If I could rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a completely horrible idea and 10 being indefinite long-term survival, I would rate a police station a solid 6. A police station is more than just the guns that it has. It has the basic accommodations that a house would provide for you, the added benefit that there's at least some level of security, an evidence locker that's going to have a plethora of things but most likely is going to have prescription drugs in it, radios, armored police vehicles, emergency medical bags, ballistics vests, riot gear, and a whole lot of things that can aid you in survival, which by itself makes it a pretty good place. But because it's a hotspot, commonly found in the middle of town, and extremely easy to find, long-term survival here is going to be a pretty big struggle for you. But like always when you're talking about apocalyptic situations, there's better choices out there for you. But what do you guys think? Did I miss any pros or cons? Let me know in the comment section down below. Or you can feel free to hop on over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/ZMZreloaded. The link is also in the description, so come on over and chat with me for a little bit. Check out some of the other places I talked about and subscribe if you want to see more videos. My name is Tyler, and this is Zombie Survival Labs. I'll see you next time.